Have you ever noticed that feeling when your body is exhausted, but your mind refuses to shut down? It's like a crowded room in your head, each thought shouting louder than the last, all vying for your attention. In these moments, the peaceful silence of the night becomes an invisible battlefield. Your pillow offers no comfort, only a sense of dread. This is pre-sleep anxiety, a sneaky intruder that reminds you of bills, unresolved conversations, and postponed decisions, all while you're desperately seeking just a moment of peace. The truth is, this agitated mind doesn't stop for anything. But what most people don't realize is there are ways to manage this without resorting to medication or radical lifestyle changes. Ancient wisdom, like that found in Buddhist teachings, offers a gentle path forward. In this video, you'll discover exactly why this nighttime anxiety feels so intense and a simple, age-old practice that can truly calm your mind. You'll learn the truth about the word cure and why seeking improvement is already a massive step, as well as how to integrate these practices into your daily life without completely changing your routine. This content is for anyone who feels they need rest but can't get it. Part 1. Why anxiety ramps up at night. There are times when your body is physically exhausted, but it just won't surrender. Your head feels heavy, your eyes want to close, but something inside insists on staying awake. This is pre-sleep anxiety. It's as if when you turn off the lights, your mind decides to turn on every single worry all at once. The silence of the night amplifies every thought, every fear, every unresolved issue from the day. In this state, finding inner peace seems impossible, but it isn't. This anxiety doesn't begin in your pillow. It starts with the accumulated pressures of the day, constant stimulation, and a lack of mindfulness about the emotions we've suppressed. The problem is, at night, there's nowhere left to run. Everything comes to the surface, and the more we try not to think, the louder our thoughts scream. Sound familiar? It might be time to look at this from a new perspective. Buddhist teachings tell us that the mind isn't our enemy. It's simply doing its job. When we are restless, it becomes agitated, desperately trying to find solutions. The thing is, nighttime isn't for solving problems, it's for letting go. That's the key, learning to detach from the habit of thinking, even if only for a few moments. This isn't about silencing your mind by force, but about welcoming what arises without attaching to it. It's a simple practice, yet few know how to do it. Many people try to sleep by fighting their own thoughts, as if they could just flip a switch to turn off their brain. But the more we resist, the more our mind insists. Pre-sleep anxiety isn't a monster, it's an alarm bell asking for your presence. Your body is already in bed, now you just need to bring your mind there too. The Buddhist tradition calls this the union of internal states. When your body and mind are in harmony, sleep becomes a natural consequence, not a battle. How do you do this without changing your entire life? It starts with a simple acknowledgement. My mind is agitated, but I can just observe it. This one phrase breaks the cycle of identification. Instead of being the anxiety, you become the one who perceives the anxiety. This changes everything. When we stop confusing ourselves with the internal chaos, we find space to breathe. And in that space, sleep can find a home. Emotional balance isn't about erasing feelings, it's about learning to sit with them. This is why nights are so difficult, because the day wasn't digested, and the thoughts that were pushed away have now caught up. In a dark, quiet room, everything explodes into insomnia. But there is another way, a gentler, more honest way. This anxiety, which appears right when you're trying to sleep, might be trying to tell you something. Your body is asking for rest, but your soul is begging for attention. Perhaps you don't need a pill. Maybe you just need a ritual, a moment to breathe, a small space between thought and action. It's in this tiny space that personal transformation happens. It's here that the possibility of calm sleep is born, without having to force it. The curious thing is, when you stop fighting with your thoughts, they stop chasing you. When we accept that they will come, but they don't have to dominate us, something changes. We begin to sleep not because we've defeated ourselves, but because we've listened to ourselves. And that changes how we wake up the next day, lighter, more centered, with the feeling that we are finally beginning to understand what this wisdom looks like in practice. So before seeking external solutions, perhaps the first step is to ask this question: why does my mind talk so much when the world goes quiet? This answer, as uncomfortable as it may seem, can lead you to a place where anxiety is not an enemy, but an invitation. An invitation to look, breathe, and rediscover serenity. And believe me, the practice I'm about to show you might be exactly what your nights have been asking for. If this message resonates with you, and you're seeking more moments of peace and insight, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for daily reflections rooted in ancient wisdom and modern clarity. Part 2. The Buddhist principle of non-judgmental observation. When thoughts start crashing into each other inside your head, the first reaction is often panic. It's as if each thought is a threat, and we try to defend ourselves from all of them at once. But this wisdom offers a powerful, paradigm-shifting principle: observe without judging. It sounds simple, but it is revolutionary because most of our pain comes not from what we feel, but from how we react to what we feel. Observing without judging is like sitting on the bank of a river and simply watching the water flow by. The thoughts are the water. Some are calm, others are turbulent, but none of them have to carry you away. The problem is that instead of observing, we jump into the current. We try to solve everything, understand everything, control everything. But at night, especially before bed, this need for control turns into anxiety. This is where the cycle begins. I think too much. I don't sleep. I get more anxious. I think more. This principle invites us to adopt a stance of presence. It's almost like watching a movie. You can feel what's happening, but you know it's just on the screen. The mistake is identifying with the movie, forgetting that you are just the one watching. The mind is the same. By practicing mindfulness, we position ourselves as spectators of what's inside, without needing to fight or cling to it. This is the foundation of true emotional balance. At first, it's not easy. The mind is conditioned to judge. This is good. This is bad. I should feel this. This is wrong. But ancient wisdom teaches us that everything that arises for a reason. Even that uncomfortable thought at 3 a.m. When you observe it without judging, without trying to solve it, it starts to lose its power. Because what feeds a thought is our resistance to it. The more you fight, the more it grows. The more you accept, the more it dissolves. This practice is incredibly powerful for pre-sleep anxiety. Instead of trying to expel thoughts from your mind, the proposal is to give them space to exist without getting lost in them. Say to yourself, I see you, thought, but you are not who I am. This simple awareness changes everything. It's here that true personal transformation begins, not by trying to silence the mind, but by changing our relationship with it. And this becomes even more effective when applied consistently. Before bed, set aside a few minutes to simply close your eyes and observe. Restlessness, memories, and self-criticism will come. Just observe. Don't get involved. Feel, breathe, and just watch them pass. Over time, this practice teaches the mind to slow down on its own. It's not about control. It's about trust. Trust that your mind doesn't need a war. It needs space. And you are the one who provides that space. Many people spend their lives trying to get rid of their thoughts, but great masters have always said, you are not what you think. You are the one who observes what you think. When this understanding becomes an experience, everything changes, because a thought stops being a prison and becomes just a visitor. Some stay longer, others just pass through. And you remain there, sitting in peace. This is living this wisdom in practice. Observing without judgment is not about becoming cold. On the contrary, it's learning to feel with awareness without being swallowed by emotion. It's letting anxiety exist without letting it dominate. This brings a sense of presence so profound that your whole body responds. Your heart slows down, your chest opens, and sleep comes as a consequence, not an obligation, but as the natural outcome of a state of peace. The more you train this observation, the easier it becomes to recognize the patterns that haunt you at night, because they are almost always the same. The fear of not being enough, the regret of things left unsaid, the insecurity about the future. But now, instead of being pulled in by these thoughts, you learn to welcome and let them go. like leaves in the wind, or a visitor who arrives is received and then departs. This principle is the foundation of what comes next. Now that you understand the importance of observing without reacting, it's time to learn how to apply this to a real, concrete technique that can be practiced every night. And that's exactly what we'll talk about next. Part 3. A step-by-step technique without magical promises. This isn't magic, and it's not a miracle formula, it's a practice. And like all practices, it requires consistency, dedication, and kindness toward yourself. What I'm about to show you is a simple but deeply effective technique to deal with pre-sleep anxiety. It's been used by monks for centuries, not to cure the mind, but to quiet it at the right time. When applied with intention, it can completely change the way you fall asleep. The first step begins even before you lie down. Yes, before your head even touches the pillow. The teachings show us that preparation for sleep begins in the late afternoon. When the body starts to slow down, the mind needs clues that everything is okay. So, reduce visual and auditory stimuli around you. Avoid social media, arguments, and bright lights. Create an environment that invites rest. This is part of the ritual. It's your way of telling the mind, it's time to wind down. With the environment prepared, the second step is to sit down. Yes, sit for a few minutes before going to bed. It doesn't have to be on the floor. It can be on the edge of the bed, on the sofa, wherever is most comfortable. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and bring your attention to your body. Feel your feet on the ground, your hands resting, the air entering and leaving. We call this practice mindfulness. It's a return to the present moment, and only in the present can sleep truly flourish. After connecting with your body, begin to observe your thoughts. Don't try to control or push them away. Just observe. Imagine you are looking at a night sky and the thoughts are clouds passing by, some denser, others lighter. They are all just passing. Say to yourself, I am not these thoughts. I am the one who observes. Repeat this phrase gently. It has a power that will gradually reveal itself. Now bring your focus to your breathing, but in a different way. Inhale calmly through your nose, counting to 4. The exhalation should be long and deep, as if you're letting out a sigh of relief, counting to 6. This type of breathing signals to the nervous system that the danger is over, and it's safe to relax. Do this for 3 to 5 minutes. If thoughts come, that's okay. Gently return to your breath. This is where the process of emotional balance begins. The fifth step is the most subtle and also the most transformative. With a calmer mind, bring an intention to the moment of sleep. It can be a phrase, an image, or a feeling. Something like, may I rest in peace tonight, or my body can now rest. This is a way of communicating with your subconscious, creating a gateway between alertness and relaxation. It's as if you're telling your mind, you can rest, I'm here. And over time, this changes everything. With this done, lie down, preferably on your left side, as ancient teachings suggest. This position promotes digestion and relaxation of the nervous system. Don't use your phone or remote control. Just feel your body lying down, as if it were a river finding its bed. And then repeat mentally, nothing to do, nothing to control, just rest. The mind, hearing this repeatedly, will naturally begin to slow down. This is the wisdom in action. The whole technique takes just a few minutes, but its impact extends far beyond the night. Because we are not just trying to sleep, we are learning to relate to rest. And when that happens, sleep comes with ease, not as an effort, but as a gift, as something that doesn't need to be earned, only allowed. This is why this practice works, because it respects the mind's time and offers the soul what it needs most: presence. It's common for the effect not to be immediate on the first few nights. And that's okay. We are breaking patterns of a lifetime. But with time, the body recognizes the ritual, the mind understands the path, and sleep stops being a battle and returns to being a homecoming, an inner place where peace begins to reside, even on the most difficult days. And this, in itself, is a huge step forward on the path of personal growth. This technique, though simple, can open doors to other levels of understanding, because peaceful sleep is just the beginning. What comes next is even more powerful. And that's exactly what we'll understand now, what it really means to improve and why that word might be even more important than cure. Part 4. The difference between improving and curing. There is a silent expectation that many people carry, that at some point everything will disappear, that anxiety will vanish, that the mind will be silent, and that sleep will come easily every night, as if by magic. But the truth, the one that this wisdom doesn't hide, is that cure may not mean what we think it does. The search for a cure often becomes more distressing than the problem itself. And this is where a shift in perception is needed. Maybe transformation isn't about being cured, but about continuously improving. The word cure carries a heavy weight. It gives the impression that there is a definitive end to the pain, and when that end doesn't arrive, frustration, guilt, and a sense of failure set in. But what if the cure is actually the process of learning to live with lightness, even amidst the ups and downs? Personal development, according to these teachings, isn't about erasing everything that hurts. It's about learning to live with these pains in a more conscious, gentle, and free way. Imagine someone who has suffered from pre-sleep anxiety for years, and suddenly, one night after days of practicing a simple technique, they sleep deeply. They wake up refreshed and might think, "I'm cured." But then, a few days later, the insomnia returns, and all progress seems to collapse. Why? Because the idea of a cure was confused with perfection. Perfection is a trap. What really matters is continuous improvement. It's being able to gradually change the quality of your relationship with your mind. Improving is being able to live with more presence. It's noticing that even on difficult nights, there's a space within you where calm still resides. It's understanding that anxiety hasn't disappeared, but it no longer has the same control it once did. This is the true power of personal transformation. It's not about eliminating the chaos, but learning to navigate it with wisdom, with less judgment, with more compassion, and with the certainty that every step is a path in itself. And this difference between improving and curing can lift an enormous burden that we carry, because the pressure to be 100% well all the time only fuels more suffering. The mind says, "You're still anxious," and the heart replies, "Then I have failed." But the truth is, just by noticing this anxiety, just by not letting yourself be dragged away by it, you have already taken a huge step toward emotional balance, a step that deserves to be recognized. This wisdom invites us to replace haste with patience. Haste wants everything now. Patience understands that everything comes in its own time, and improving in this context means continuing the journey even when it seems like nothing has changed. It's trusting that everything is reorganizing itself inside, that every practice done with intention is planting invisible seeds, and that sooner or later they will blossom, because everything nurtured with attention and care grows. So, don't be so hard on yourself. Anxiety might appear tomorrow, yes, but perhaps you will be more prepared than you were yesterday. Maybe, instead of fighting it, you can just breathe and let it pass. This is already a victory. This is already change. This is this wisdom in practice, accepting the impermanence of things and finding peace within the movement. Because true improvement is in how you respond to what you feel, not in the absence of the feeling. And you know what's most beautiful? When you accept that, improvement is the journey, not the destination. Sleep comes more lightly because the mind no longer needs to prove anything. It just needs to rest, to take a break from the demand, to always be okay. This is real rest. This is the beginning of a gentler relationship with yourself, a relationship that transforms not just your nights, but your days, and opens up space for a new way of living. Now that this difference is clear, you might be asking, but how do I apply all this in a simple way, without having to change my whole routine? The answer is in the next lesson, and it may be much easier than you imagine. Part 5. How to integrate this into your daily life without changing everything. One of the biggest misconceptions about spirituality and self-discovery is believing that transformation requires a complete upheaval of your routine, as if you have to drop everything, meditate for hours, move away, or become a monk. But this wisdom, in its truest essence, teaches us the exact opposite. Great movements begin in the details, and the practice that helps you deal with pre-sleep anxiety can be integrated into your life just as it is, without radicalism or pressure. Including these practices in your daily life doesn't require extra time. It only requires a new perspective on the time you already have. For example, while you're brushing your teeth before bed, take a deep breath and pay attention to what you're feeling. That's already mindfulness. Instead of going straight to bed, sit for 1 minute and observe your breath. 1 minute. You don't need any more. That's already the beginning of a practice. And doing this every day has a huge impact on your inner peace. The secret is to transform ordinary moments into rituals of presence. When you turn off the light, say to yourself, "Now I can rest." When you feel your mind starting to race, place your hand on your chest and gently repeat, "I am here." These are small gestures, but they are profoundly powerful, because the mind doesn't change by force, it changes by repetition. And repeating small, conscious habits is one of the purest forms of personal growth. Maybe your routine is busy, full of commitments, children and deadlines, and even then it's possible to apply this. This wisdom doesn't demand isolation, it adapts to real life. If you wake up early, wake up 2 minutes earlier and sit in silence, just breathing. If you have a habit of drinking tea at night, turn that moment into a meditation. It's like trading autopilot for presence. And every time you do this, you are teaching your mind to rest, not to fight. Another essential point is to understand that this is not about perfection. There will be nights when anxiety appears even with practice, and that's perfectly okay. What changes is your response. When you know what to do, even when discomfort appears, you already have an internal compass. You know there is a technique, a path, a choice. This brings security, and security is one of the most important ingredients for deep, restorative sleep. Over time, you'll notice that small changes begin to spread to other moments of your day. You'll realize you are calmer in situations that used to throw you off balance, that you can take a deep breath before reacting, and that you have more clarity to make decisions. All of this is the effect of simple practices inserted into ordinary moments. And that's the beauty of it. Not changing your entire life, but letting your life just as it is, embrace change. If you forget to practice one day, don't judge yourself. This wisdom reminds us that every moment is a new chance. Every night is a new opportunity to start spirituality. And when you take this to bed, sleep arrives not as an obligation but as an embrace, a return to an inner home you may not have even known you were looking for. Conclusion, the ultimate invitation. And now that all this is clear, here is the most important part of all. The moment when everything that has been said begins to fit together. The revelation that can change the way you understand your anxiety and your own story. Ultimately, the anxiety that steals your sleep is not there to punish you. It's trying to show you something you haven't wanted to look at yet. It speaks of your haste, your hidden exhaustion, your need for control. The most unsettling thing is realizing that the more we run, the louder it screams. But when you stop, breathe, and begin to observe without reacting, something shifts. You realize that you no longer need to fight, because what seemed like a monster was just a part of you asking for attention. And then, it all makes sense. The agitated mind at night is not a disorder. It's an invitation, a call to go inward. And this wisdom doesn't come with magical promises. It comes with simple but transformative truths. That calm is not at the end of the journey. It is in how you walk the path. The question that once tormented you, "Why can't I sleep?" begins to transform into, "How can I better take care of myself right now?" And then you understand that in the end, the answer was always there, not at the end of the video, but within the silence you were so afraid of. Sleeping with calm isn't just about putting your head on the pillow and waiting for your body to shut down. It's an act of trust. Trust that even with everything happening outside, there is space for rest inside. And if you've made it this far with me, maybe you've already felt this. Maybe deep down, you know you don't need to change your entire life to start changing your nights. What you need are small gestures of presence, simple practices, a listening ear, a path that embraces your pain without judgment and without haste. This wisdom gives us this, not as a religion, but as a living philosophy that returns you to yourself. When you reconnect with that space of inner peace, even anxiety begins to rest. So now it's up to you. Apply the teachings, breathe, observe, and choose one ritual to start today. And when you feel a difference, even a small one, tell me in the comments.